Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner's Senate picks are already drawing controversy.
We take you through the voter registration process. Find out how simple it is straight ahead.
The Minister of Labor defends the government's role in hotel terminations. That story is coming up straight ahead.
How the country plans to tackle underemployment. Why one Junkanoo group won't make it to Bay Street this year. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, the country's newest senators were given their instruments of appointment at Government House this morning and officially sworn in at the Senate. And after warning her appointments may cause some shock and surprise, opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner's picks have attracted their fair share of scrutiny. But there's one name in particular that's standing out, Rodney Monker. Dana Smith reports.
Opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner's latest Senate picks are already drawing controversy, particularly that of talk show host Rodney Monker, who received his instruments of appointment today alongside DNA leader Branville McCartney, political newcomer Jude Knowles, and former Senator Monique Gomez. In a move that stunned many, Butler Turner announced Monker's appointment to the Senate last night. Monker, a former DNA candidate who joined the FNM in 2014, has attracted much controversy for what many have called his bizarre, unusual, and offensive commentary, either made to the press, on his talk show, or via social media. But asked about that today, Monker was dismissive. And what do you make of some of the controversy that's surrounding you being appointed to the Senate?
Is there a controversy?
There is.
No one has told me, honestly. I've been so busy getting dressed, preparing, reading bills. What are Negroes saying?
They're saying that your comments sometimes are bizarre, even offensive.
To them, I'm 60. I've been married for 37 years. I'm the father of 3 adult children and the grandfather of 2 adults. I've had 1 wife. And in 60 years, I haven't smoked dope yet. And when it comes to job stability, I've been consistent with my work. God save the Queen!
Among Monker's unusual statements, he questioned on social media back in 2013, are the women catching breast cancer from unhealthy males? And back in March, as the gender equality bills were passed in the House of Assembly, Monker said he's a xenophobe, and if his wife were to vote for the bills, he would dispossess her.
What is xenophobe?
You said you were xenophobic.
What that means? What that means?
This is your turn. Are you still holding?
I have to ignore that unless you explain that. Next.
What about your stance on marital rape?
Now, what about marital rape? I have been married for 37 years. My wife professed Jesus Christ, and I profess Jesus Christ. A decent married man cannot commit rape upon his decent married wife.
Among Monker's latest comments, he's urging Bahamians not to vote in the upcoming general election, instead asking them to join him at a beach party on Election Day.
Listen, there are thousands of Bahamians who are disappointed with these, I'm a senator now, right? Irresponsible politicians. And they want to go on the beach. And I'm the beach leader. But I'm marching to the Senate. And as I march to the Senate, perhaps somebody will convince me as to why I should say to my people, the Negro people, why we should not go to the beach.
Butler Turner said in a statement last night, as I have said previously, some of the choices may strike some as surprising, but a major theme of these appointments is inclusion from a broad cross-section of Bahamians. She reiterated that today, noting,
those chosen provide quite a diversity of talent, experience, and viewpoints. I believe that Bahamians from various walks of life will see themselves reflected and represented in those of you that we've appointed.
Reporting for our news, I'm Dana Smith.
Well, with the general election slated for sometime next year, there are still less than half of eligible voters registered. That's according to Parliamentary Commissioner Sherlyn Hall, who says people are still trickling in to register. Our Jasmine Brown joined the number of registered voters today, and tonight she takes us through the process. Jasmine?
Well, Christina, the process went smoothly and pretty quickly here at the Parliamentary Registration Department, as all I needed was a little bit of time my passport, and honest answers. Exactly how much time? Well, 10 minutes to be exact, as there aren't exactly people rushing to get inside. And the process is pretty easy. After filling out a form to confirm your home address, the next step is at this glass window, where signatures are required on several documents confirming the information. The process is topped off by swearing to the validity of that same information.
Information given
The information given
is true and correct.
is true and correct. Hall says it's pretty much the same for anyone who uses their passport to register. He says while you can use an old voter's card, the passport is the most convenient document as it allows them to bypass searching their databases.
Once you bring that, we don't have to check no database at all, and you can be processed within 5 minutes.
And my cameraman also got in on the action by registering, a process that also took him just minutes to complete. And we were not the only ones, as a steady stream of voters also stopped in to register. Eloise Strawn is one of them. We met her registering at the Parliamentary Registration Department today.
I would advise anyone, especially the ladies, we had to fight for this. It didn't just come to us. We had to fight for it. So let's register.
Meantime, while no date has been set for the general election, Prime Minister Perry Christie recently urged Bahamians to register to vote, declaring it's not long now when they will be called upon to exercise their democratic right to vote. According to Hall, there are just under 72,000 registered voters. That represents just over 40% of eligible voters. And while registration has picked up, there are still thousands of voters who have yet to register. Hall says he hopes that all changes in the new year. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Jasmine. In other news, Labor Minister Shane Gibson is speaking out after the termination of 61 employees of the one and only Ocean Club, saying fault lies with the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union. Giorgio Bain reports.
Minister of Labor Shane Gibson is defending the government's role in trying to preserve the jobs of those 61 one and only Ocean Club employees. According to Gibson, the government has always been involved and the fault lies with the union. According to Gibson, the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union failed to meet the deadline for a new bargaining agreement with the resort. He added that it is unfair for the union to suggest that the government is to blame when the new agreement could have prevented the resort from terminating those 61 employees.
They allowed the industrial agreement to expire, and in the industrial agreement it said that if you wanted to submit a proposal to change the agreement, then you do it at least 6 months prior to the expiration, which they did not do. And as a result of that, the agreement expired. So the employer then invited them to just extend that existing agreement, which they refused. They said no. And it eventually ended up in court.
While calling accusations made by the union unfortunate, Gibson says work to correct the recent termination of hotel employees continues.
It's unfortunate that the union is now trying to shift the blame to the government as to these persons being terminated. Every trade unionist knows, anybody familiar with labor laws, the Employment Act knows that individual collective bargaining agreements gives you much better protection than the law itself. And so, for instance, where in the Employment Act, any employer, whether you work for the Cable Bounds, the Guardian, the Tribune, they could walk in there today and tell you today, we no longer want your service for no reason, and all they have to do is pay you out.
Gibson says the government has stepped in to save the union on several occasions, and it continues to work for the people.
The government is now stepping in once again. Don't forget, we went to Parliament, I think it was last year, where we had to validate the hotel union just to keep them existing. We had to validate them. We introduced an act especially for them. That's why I thought it was very ungrateful for them to keep on going in the press saying that it's the government not showing that we care for the people, when everything we did from the time we were elected in 2012, we did it for the people.
Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Still to come on our news, Junkanoo ticket sales are going fast, what you should know, how the Prime Minister plans to address underemployment in the country, and why one major Junkanoo group will be watching this year's parade from the stands. That's coming up when our news returns.